Awesome. So to start us off, Eric Brundon graduated from the University of Maine with a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Science and the University of South Alabama with an MED in Secondary Science. Eric started as a volunteer at the Weeks Bay Near in 1999 and was quickly hired on as a research technician. Eric was promoted to stewardship coordinator at the reserve and has served in that position for approximately 13 years. And I came up with this fun fact because he hadn't submitted one. His golden retriever, is it B dog or P dog? With a
Pasek.
face. Okay.
It's a Czech.
It's a chick, you said? Well,
Czech, the Czech Republic.
oh, Czech
Czech
Republic.
language.
Which you might have seen his big golden retriever running around the reserve from time to time. He found them as a puppy down at the resource center. He just had to hold on to them. So it's a cute story. Next is Wade. Wade Stevens has been with the city of Orange Beach for approximately 24 years and serves as the operations manager for the Coastal Resources Department. He spent a good deal of his time with the fire department and then moved over to Coastal Resources in late 2015 after working closely with them for years on various projects. His educational background is in fire science, and he has always had a passion for the outdoors and wildlife. And his fun fact is that he has a boy and girl twin teenagers who are both at home and very bored. So we can relate to that a little bit. Lastly is Meg Gecker, who currently works as the senior coastal scientist at Moffatt & Nichol, which is a global infrastructure advisory firm. In 2001, she received her BS in biology from Michigan State University, and in 2003 completed her MS in marine science at the University of South Alabama. With 15 years of experience in applied marine and coastal ecology, Meg Gecker has worked with state, federal, and NGOs across northern Gulf of Mexico to develop and implement large-scale oyster, marsh, and seagrass restoration projects. And her fun fact is that she has gone swimming with great white sharks in dive cages. It's pretty cool. All right, Creighton, you can go ahead and start us off with some questions for these guys and girl.
Cool. So just to go over again how this is going to work, I'm going to ask everybody, or I'm going to ask the panel 5 questions that we came up with just to kind of start things off. And to the members is going to submit questions in the chat box. And after our 5 questions, we'll be picking on members to ask their question. So our first question kind of goes along with the bios that we just heard, but if there's anything else you want to elaborate on, this is actually kind of like, the first question is like 3 questions, but what was your beginning? What did it look like in terms of like college, mentors, internships, that kind of thing? Was the thing that you wanted to do in high school and or college the same thing that you're doing now? Is it something similar or is it completely different? I don't know who wants to start off, and I can repeat that if necessary.
I'm happy to. I'll jump in. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. I'll just get us going because I know Wade and Eric probably have completely different stories. But when I was in college, I was doing a biology degree. I was going to be a high school teacher for math and science, and I was already burned out by my 4th year at Michigan State, and I was sick of the winters. And I found a program that the National Science Foundation runs called Research Experience for Undergraduates, the REU program. Maybe some of you have heard of it. And I ended up at the Dauphin Island Sea Lab where I met the really great mentor with Ken Heck, who's a seagrass scientist there, and I got my master's degree in marine science there at the Sea Lab. So no, was not a direct route to anything I ever thought I would do. And since then, I've had state jobs and I've had federal jobs, and now I'm in the private sector with a consulting firm. So I've done it in a roundabout way to get to a place where I'm with people I really respect, but I still get to do the science that I love. So I bet Eric and Wade have different stories as well, so I'll let them go next.
Well,
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say, I have an environmental science degree simply because of all most electives. When I was in school, I knew I was interested in the sciences. It weighs upside down now. So I took that course just so I could get all the sciences that I liked. And I was totally undecided at the time. And got out of school, couldn't find a job, opened a business, did that, worked really hard for about 7 years, got tired of working hard, went back to teach and just kind of stumbled upon this opening here at Weeks Bay as I was down here volunteering. So it wasn't a straight route, for sure.
Mine was different. Speaking from a personal perspective, I did everything in life early. So out of the house early, married early. The only thing I kind of delayed on was kids, and that was for medical reasons. But I started off college kind of in the normal path, like most of you probably did right out of high school. But I had a long-term relationship and got married essentially right after high school, going into college. So after my first year of college at traditional universities there at South, I had to essentially stop going to college so I could pay for my wife to continue to go to college. And that took a while for things to work out. I basically fell into the fire service in an effort to get into law enforcement. I thought that was a great idea. So started trying to do that, but believe it or not, I was still too young to be a cop. So I got into the fire service. My career took off from there and moved swiftly in the fire service. And I've been doing that most of my life since, until I came over to Coastal Resources. Along the way, I figured out real quick that my education that everybody told me was so important actually was really important. And even though I'd had a successful career in the fire service and done really well for myself and made a good life and family and that sort of thing, I went back to school and eventually finished up along the way with a degree in fire sciences, even though that was not something that really was my passion. Forest and wildlife and conservation work was my passion. So I continued to do things, work with committees and nonprofits and things that I had access to here around the city. And when Coastal Resources was formed, I started working closely with them, even though I was in the fire department, and used my fire background to take over management and habitat management and restoration and improve them. And one thing led to another. This job came available, and I moved into this department as operations. And things have never been the same since. So it was a very interesting twist for me, seeing as how I started out wanting to be a cop, ended up in the fire service, and now I'm in conservation work.
Cool, very cool. Definitely interesting to hear 3 completely different paths. So, yeah, that's cool. Our next question, and I apologize in advance to the members who asked the same question. So great minds think alike, as I see some of you have the same, or as your question, you're asking the same things that us leaders and Larissa and Carrie came up with. So our next question is, what do you love about your job, and what keeps you passionate about your work?
Well, I think I can start out. We're all in very different positions. Obviously, Wade with the city and Eric with the state and me as a consultant. But what I really enjoy is I get to do lots of different projects. So right now we're actually working with Wade and the city of Orange Beach. We're just kicking off a project to study some of the Perdido Islands over there in Orange Beach, which will be fun. So I get to hang out with Wade. And then for Eric, we've been working on ways to return the tide to some of his properties that he manages. So we've always got a little different projects going on. Right now, we're working on a project that is I'm very proud of down here in Bayou La Batre at Lightning Point, and we're building about 40 acres of marsh, and it's just been 3 years of a lot of hard work and fun with a really talented team. So I enjoy working with smart people and getting to work on lots of different projects.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I think, what do you want more, or I would second that working with y'all, of course, is what just makes me so enthusiastic. And it's the variety of different topics. You know, sometimes you get a little frustrated with perhaps the way government's run, but then you show up at work and, you know, and you're out on a boat and you're doing different things and you're out in the woods, and it's hard to stay pessimistic for too long.
Yeah, so with a 20-year career in the fire service, I just thought I knew what variety was. But when I came here and got into this job, it definitely opened my eyes. I never would have imagined to echo what everyone else is saying, but I guess the diversity of different things that you can and will get into. I mean, if you choose to, there's something new every day, a new challenge, a new problem to solve, a new project to pursue. It's always something. And I mean, I guess what keeps me passionate about the work is, I mean, it's pretty easy to be passionate about when you're doing conservation work, but you know, down here I see so much in the way of development and so much negativity about the impact to resources and the environment and that sort of thing. So having a city that allows a department like mine to exist, you know, in and amongst and I guess right alongside all of that development, in an effort to find ways to offset that impact and to give back to those resources that we are, you know, taking from so often here. So it's not hard to enjoy it and to you know, see where we're making a difference.
Awesome. Cool. So, our next question kind of goes along with that. What's something that you've accomplished that you're most proud of in terms of your career, the work that you do?
Yeah, I was going to try to share a picture. I think, didn't you say I could share a picture? I don't.
Yes, I can. I think I have to make you the presenter actually, because.
Yeah, Meg, I just shared it. I just shared it with you. You should have had a box pull up.
Yeah, I've learned Zoom. I've learned WebEx. GoToMeeting I haven't used in a few years. So hold on, let me do it again, Carrie, and I'll try. Oh, it is share. Oh.
My favorite part of this is watching everyone's face as they try to figure something out on the screen.
I'm thinking hard. No, it won't let me share right now, Carrie, but that's okay. I'll get something up a little later. Like I was saying, this Lightning Point project to me right now is first and foremost in my mind, but it's been really rewarding. And just on Sunday, we were able to connect an old historic tidal creek to a marsh that we're restoring, and this creek has been impounded for decades, and it was just really rewarding to see the water rushing out, and knowing that marsh will be back connected to the tide again. So that's just an example of a project. There's lots of little projects, even these ones we've been working on with you all, these small ones with the city of Mobile. I don't know who was out doing that monitoring for us, but for the city to, just like Orange Beach, be able to conserve 100 acres in the city of Mobile is a big deal. So those are just some examples.
You know, I'd say for me, it would be the amount of land I've been able to help bring into the reserve to be protected for the future. And I think I'm getting my own department behind being a little more proactive in restoration and management to, you know, help keep those habitats healthy.
Yeah, for Orange Beach, me personally, I would say probably our wildlife program. There was a great deal already done prior to my arrival in Coastal Resources, just with the few people that had been assigned to it. the trail system, that sort of thing, obviously a huge impact down here. But the wildlife program itself, for the city to essentially embrace that concept and for us to be able to take it from the ground up and build it into a wildlife rehabilitation and education program that we have here that deals with everything from the nuisance calls all the way to education in the school systems and everything in between. That's been a huge thing, and it's still growing. It's still expanding. We got a new facility underway right now. Matter of fact, that's what I'm meeting at 2:30 is about, is the new facility. So it's continuously growing and providing opportunities, up to and including opportunities for research and grad students to reach out, and we have interns in the program now. So we have a lot of different things going on, and that's been really nice to see. Something that's affects local, state, and federal level that was built from the ground up.
Cool, very cool. Our next question is, which we guys have said things that have kind of maybe gone into this a little bit, but if there's anything that you can expand on or a specific example, did anything ever surprise you about your job? Was it what you thought it would be like?
Yeah, there's always surprise. Go ahead, Meg.
No, I was just thinking. So go ahead. Yeah, you're always surprised because you didn't ever imagine that this is what a job would be when you're your age. So yeah, always full of surprises and different ways of dealing with people and different projects. But yeah, I don't have a great answer for that yet. It's definitely full of surprises, and maybe Eric and Wade do.
Well, a part of that, diversity we were talking about earlier, it can get a little too much at times. So, it's a surprise how many different people you have to work with, how much, even though my job title is coordinator, sometimes it gets a little crazy. And I'm sometimes surprised at the various opinions that are out in the public. I mean, I don't know how to say this tactfully, but there's some pretty wild ideas out there about how the natural world works or doesn't work. You kind of have to sometimes work around. And yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, you have to deal with a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds that come with preconceived notions. We all do. And that can be a little surprising sometimes when you hear some of these points of view.
Yeah, I definitely echo everything Eric just mentioned as far as the diversity, being able to know where to draw the line and when to draw the line, and people's crazy ideas. I would say that from my perspective, being local government, it's been amazing to me the impact that the local government can have in some of these areas that we're talking about, and it's shocking to me. I mean, I understand why, with every budget dollar being scrutinized and things being as tight as they are, but it's just shocking to me that I look around and everybody doesn't have a coastal resources department or their equivalent, even if they're inland, that sort of thing. Because even if you're not on a beach with a major resource like a beach to protect and regulate and monitor and preserve, there's always something as far as a natural resource around you. And even if it's one individual like Coastal Resources started out with and has now grown into, we peak out at over 40 people in the summer. But there's always something there to preserve, protect, conserve, a project to get involved with. And for local government to, it's not unusual for, several times in a month for me to be sitting with a governor or senators or any number of people on various committees on projects that affect the entire state or even the southeastern region, or in some cases nationally, that we're talking about things and what role we play in that just as local government. And that was very shocking to me coming over from the fire service into this realm, as to how big of an impact and how, I guess, broad of a scope we can actually have and be effective.
Cool. All right, so we have just a couple more questions from our list. How do you think the type of work you're doing might change in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, I can answer that one. I should be retired. I will be just volunteering my time without so much of the day-to-day running. But on a professional level, I think there's a little, when I was younger, when I first started, even before I started this, there seemed to be a lot of momentum in our culture to pay attention to the environment. And this is all my perception, at least it's not an objective reality perhaps, but it seems to have gone the other way for a while, where, there just didn't seem to be as much of a popular drive. And I think it's, once again, the pendulum swinging back. And I think people are starting to realize the importance of keeping the ecology healthy for economic reasons and for, all the other reasons we try to keep the habitats healthy. And I think that's getting much better. So I think there'll be more focus there if we make it through these a little bit of rough patch here. That's just my perspective.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, Eric, we're probably of similar nature in that, but, this being the 10th anniversary of the oil spill, I can tell you 10 years ago when I was watching the news, watching the Deepwater Horizon in flames, I knew that most of my career would be set on the restoration money that will come from that. And we're only 10 years into it. There'll be another 20 years of oil spill projects here in Alabama. We don't, you don't spend $1 billion that quickly. Cities like Orange Beach and like the Weeks Bay near, they're doing lots of great projects, and hopefully they continue to do those with the oil spill, and hopefully us consulting firms can help them. So I'll spend the rest of my career hopefully doing oil spill restoration projects that can be a legacy for my family and for young people like you all.
Yeah, so I would just say that, echoing what everybody else says, but I feel like that, we're going to get more and more as development continues to progress, and that's everywhere, not just the beach. As sprawl continues and as development resources get more and more scarce, I just feel like finding new creative ways to utilize emerging technologies, that sort of thing, and to help really find that balance between what we give and what we take is just going to become that much more important. And I know that sounds a little bit broad and philosophical and pie in the sky, but I mean, we really see it here on a day-to-day basis. I mean, when you're putting up a $150 million condominium unit, at the same time you're putting several $1 million into that site just to try to accommodate a couple of ESA species, and finding the ways to delicately balance how that's all going to operate going forward. I mean, so everything from the way the buildings are engineered to the the various, I guess, reasonable accommodation they're making on the site for the various species and continued travel corridors, everything you can think of. That's just going to become so much more important as we continue to have less and less habitat available.
Cool. Well, those are all very good answers. I think those are our 5 questions to start off with. Carrie, you said you have a video to share that Meg sent you.
Yeah, so before we switch over to the questions from the chat box, when Meg was trying to pull up that video, is this the same project that you were speaking of, Meg? I think you'll be able to talk over it. Okay, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, and it's on YouTube as well. You all can find it. We're going to put another video up today. So this is the project site that we've been working on. All that is new sediment that's in place. and we designed it to have tidal creeks running through it, and this is one of the first tidal creeks was being, water was being released into the tidal creek to let the water start flowing. So this was a couple weeks ago. Since then, we've done quite a bit more work, as you can imagine, but it's just rewarding to see this area. They've lost hundreds of feet of shoreline over the years. It's a very popular recreational area as well, and this was all oil spill money for the nature side of the oil spill that was injured. So this will all be marsh. In a couple of weeks, it'll be planted, and hopefully in a couple of years, you can all come back and see that this is full of marsh and birds, and they're even going to release diamondback terrapins. The University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB, is raising the terrapins now that hopefully will be released here. So lots of really cool nature-based activities. This is big time restoration, and hopefully the rest of the country takes notice, so we can do this kind of habitat restoration all over. So come see us in Bayou La Batre. You can see this project in motion. It's in a good spot where you can actually see it happening. Looks like a lot of sediment right now, but it'll be greener soon.
That's awesome. I know someone's going to ask this. Are you going to have volunteers come out to plant that, or is that going to be something you've hired for?
Well, yeah, we don't have volunteers plant $400,000 worth of plants, so no, there won't be a volunteer event. There was supposed to be an event last Friday, but it was canceled. It's more of a partner event. They do have the Elma Bryant High School here who's collected plants and are growing them in greenhouses. But this won't be a big volunteer event. No, it's 40 acres. That's a lot of plant staff volunteers to do. But the Nature Conservancy is the lead on this project, and they will hold events that the public can be a part of, but not right now. In the future.
That's awesome. It's a great video. Creighton, did you have any time to look over some questions? Or I guess, let's see, I can pull up one real quick. Let's see what the first one is. Amber, you want to ask your question to Meg? Since you're the birthday girl?
I think is that first question that you asked can be asked to anybody really, but yeah.
Yeah, I added that later, and I was like, well, that
Yeah,
could really go for
I saw
anybody.
that.
So, do y'all want me to ask the first one or the one that I sent to Meg?
Hey, Carrie, your video's still playing.
Yeah, some teenage show called Lightning Point.
Sorry about that. I was like, Amber, what's going on in your neighborhood? Okay, continue.
Am I asking the one like just for Meg or the first one that I asked of everybody?
Whichever one you'd prefer. You can do both too.
Okay. This one, like just for Meg, what type of experience do you suggest we get before trying to apply to an environmental consulting firm, like the one you work for, and what entry-level positions should we look out for?
Yeah, I saw your question. Yes, and that's a good one. Consulting firms are very different than, say, what Wade and Eric do. And this is advice for anything, but it's who you know, and it's the people that can give you recommendations. You know, with consulting firms, if you have an undergraduate biology degree and they're looking for that kind of person, then you just got to seek out those companies. And there's a lot of us environmental consulting firms across the Gulf that we can give you names of and names of people to look for. So consulting is a little bit different. You'll see jobs advertised, but sometimes it's just going out and talking to people, and you're making the right contacts doing this kind of thing. It's a little bit different for state and city jobs, but consulting is a little more go out and see what's there and meet people and get the right contacts. But your undergraduate, I don't know what all your undergraduate degrees are, but these kind of biology, ecology, whatever, if that's what you're into, hopefully that's why you're here. You know, you just need that undergraduate baseline. I did a zoology degree and ended up in a marine science master's degree, but you know, you just got to get that 4 years under your belt. You know, you'll learn from there. Happy birthday, Amber.
Cool. Our next question, I really like Eric's question. Eric's question for Eric, but I think anybody could also chime into that question as well. If you want to ask your question, Eric.
Give me just 1 second. I'm scrolling back up to find it. Here we go. All right. To those who could answer this, y'all work with all of these are partners, right?
Yep, that is
All
correct.
right.
Yep.
Y'all work with the Gulf Corps, and what would you advise a young person who loves environmental stewardship, education, and conservation to do after being in a program like this? Eric, would you like to go first? And then Wade, then Meg.
I'm not sure. It looks like Eric might be talking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, I had to hit the unmute button there. Well, I don't know. Are you in school, finished school, Eric?
At this,
You can't avoid school.
I haven't yet went to school.
I don't think. So, you know, I don't think you necessarily need to go more beyond the bachelor's if you get your foot in the door. But like as Meg was referencing just a moment ago, you know, my job, I stumbled upon this job when I had a little bit of a background for it. But it's because I knew the people here, right? That I had a little bit of, you know, they were familiar with me. They were familiar with who, you know, I showed up for work and all that kind of stuff. So they're very comfortable with recommending me for the position and promoting me that way. I think, I don't know how tough times are going to be in the conservation realm coming up. But all you can do is get your degree. And I'll ask the others their opinions. I don't think, you know, a master's degree and really experience on the ground, to me, like we hired Davis, that experience on the ground just doing things counts as much to me as a master's degree in the type of work that we do here. I mean, because you're going to learn what you need to know on the job. A bachelor's degree to me is just like proving to the world you're going to do something and you're going to stick with it and you're going to finish it. You know, you're not going to remember every little thing you learned in your bachelor's degree. You're going to get the basics, then you're going to go from there with on the job learning experiences. So, you know, the key is do like you're doing now. You're meeting people. If you pursue your degree, you know, hopefully you get a good professor that can also establish your network and volunteer some time now and then. You know, all about know who you are.
Yeah, I'd definitely second those comments. Exposure. Networking out there, getting out there for those opportunities, whether they be volunteer opportunities, internships, externships, whatever they are. Getting that experience on the ground and making those contacts with people is extremely. We've been pretty successful down in terms of the wildlife program. We've been able to place most of those. Be placed in a variety of positions, and you know, I would say be patient. You know, definitely plan on putting in your time. You're going to pay dues in this, no matter what, in this type of work. You're just not going to jump out there and probably grab exactly that job you want without putting in some time. And again, just be willing to do a job that's not necessarily the job you wanted for. So don't let great get in the way of good, if you will. If you find something that might be a stepping stone or a pathway opportunity to what it is you're looking for, you know, take it, even if it's something you're not necessarily interested in, and it might surprise you. you can learn new things and develop new interests pretty easily.
If you're willing to move.
For sure.
Cool. Before I move on to the next question, Meg, do you have anything to add, or if not, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I could add is, get your resume together based on the things you've learned before you forget all of the cool things you've done with the Gulf Corps. Work on a really good resume and ask people like ourselves to help you with them. It's a good first step to remembering what you've accomplished, because sometimes you forget. So get your resume started and build on it with every experience you get, and then you start meeting people, like both of them said. Start making a network of people.
It sounds silly, but do some simple keyword, real generic keyword searches. Environmental, conservation, things of that nature, and do some market research. You'd be shocked at the variety of jobs you'll find out there that you probably never knew existed that are related to your interest. And do the market analysis on them. Look at those jobs and what they're requesting. Look at the required. Look at the preferred. And start building your your resume and your experience around that.
Very good advice. So thank you for that. Austin, I think, also has a good question, if you want to ask yours.
This morning, we just completed an EPA training module, and it stressed the necessity of project partners. Can you tell me about a time that you contributed to project success when your agency collaborated with another one?
I can, because darn near everything we do down here is a collaboration with somebody or another. Like Meg mentioned earlier, with NOAA, with the private contractors that are coming in to help actually totally developed a restoration plan for some of our projects. We work with you, we work with TNC quite often. In Alabama, we have the Forever Wild program, which is a state program where some money set aside for purchasing properties. We work hand in hand with them all the time to acquire lands. We have a nonprofit we work with. There's just a plethora of different people that we work with all the time to make these things happen. I don't know if maybe that one's specific, but I would use our restoration at the Meadows, which is going on right now in partnership with NOAA and with Meg's consulting firm, as a real good example.
I would say our trail is probably one of the biggest examples. That trail is, there's 27, 28 miles of trail out there. The vast majority of it is in a state park, and the state park really, for the most part, did very little of that. They've done a fairly recent project that added several miles of trail to the existing and developed some trail enhancements to what we had put in, but the vast majority of that was the city of Orange Beach partnering with the state as the primary partner, and then both the state park division and some other entities to essentially create that trail system out there out of what was once a couple of maintenance roads and an old county road that had been abandoned, and it's turned into one of the most successful trail systems for sure in the state, and most definitely throughout the region. So that's been a huge example of partnering together and utilizing existing resources and appropriate funding to pull off a project of pretty significant impact.
Yeah, and right here on this call, the Gulf Corps program, and I remember the starting of it many years ago during the oil spill. All oil spill funded, by the way, but the reason you all got together was NOAA and TNC and all these groups that you've worked with partnering together to get you all out in the field and doing these projects. So it's a prime example of federal and state and NGO and even private consulting firms getting together to get some projects done. So I think you all's jobs are a prime example.
Awesome. And yeah, I can definitely attest to how nice the trail is at Orange Beach. This another question that I think is a good one. It's specifically for Eric, but anybody else can also chime in about working with the Golf Corps program. And that's Ashley's question if you want to ask it.
Yeah, sure. Give me just a second. I'm gonna scroll back up to it. Sorry you guys can't see me. I'm having some video camera problems, but let me find my question. Eric, this one, just because you worked with us all 3 years and just that project partner relationship has always been awesome. I was wondering, out of all the projects that Gulf Corps has worked on at the NEAR with you guys, which job are you most proud of or has been the most beneficial for y'all's continued success?
You're on mute, Eric, I think.
I'm hearing you.
Sorry, I keep forgetting to turn that off. Some of the projects you've been working on, I've worked with also for a few years, so this is a little tough. But I mean, I think working in the bog, when y'all are cutting down the hardwoods and prepping the fire lanes, because fire is such a critical component to what I do down here, that has helped me probably the most, because y'all being out there kind of puts it in the minds of people who I need to help me to facilitate these burns. Speaking of which, we're going to try to burn next month. And a little off subject here, but y'all going to be around next month?
So we're
Maybe
extending
not
until June 19th, but it's really we don't know if we're gonna be able to get out in the field. It's just gonna be like a case by case basis. So we hope so, but we are extending till
because I just talking to Colin and Will today, we wrote up the burn plan. So I'm hoping y'all can come back because I need some help. And you'd be able to, I think, participate, but that's a side note. Yeah, I think really helping me with the exotics is probably the number one, because, you know, one guy in a backpack doesn't cut it.
Cool. Before we move on to the next question, does anybody else have anything to add about things that Gulf Corps has helped with specifically?
Well, I mean, from a consulting side of it, Carrie and her team have been helping me on a couple different monitoring and adaptive management plans. Although I'll write most of it, they've been helping create the maps that I'm not necessarily getting paid to do. That's a little pro bono, but when you all help do that, that helps the product become a lot better. And I've been sharing those with Carrie, and I can share what the teamwork has created on those man plans and habitat management plans. So just so you know, that stuff seems mundane, but it's what the funders need to fund these projects, and without it, you wouldn't be able to go out in the field and do all the fun stuff. So I do appreciate all that work to help.
Cool.
Mentioned,
Next question. Sorry, you can go.
No, I was just going to say the invasives work is absolutely essential for us. With all the stuff we have going, we rarely have the time that's really needed to devote to that. So that invasives management assistance there is definitely highly valued for us.
Cool. The next question, I actually really like Amber's first question, which she specifically asked it to Eric, but I think it can apply to everybody, just kind of a question in terms of current events with everything that's going on now, because I know all of our jobs have changed. So Amber, I'll let you ask your first question.
I start breaking up. Please ask it for me.
Okay.
Um,
Well, basically, the question is working from home. Have you all been working from home? And if so, what has that looked like? Has it been hard, or has it been surprisingly effective in any way?
I can start
I've
with
been
that
working
one.
from home. Oh, go ahead.
Eric. I was just going to say our if you don't know, you've probably seen your various news avenues at one point or another, but our city administrations, we'll just say they're gung ho. So we have not been working from home. All city offices have been open and functioning. It has been somewhat difficult just because, a lot of our partners obviously are, and, supply chain issues, meetings, things of that nature have all obviously taken on a different meaning at this point. But we've been out there and continuing our work the best we can.
I still come in. I'm at work right now. But, I have a nice excuse to stay home once in a while, and I catch up on administrative stuff. So it's really kind of getting quite a bit done. And there's not so many people around to interrupt your day. So in a little slight way, it's a good for a week or two, but it's going to all catch up with us.
Yeah, we our office is downtown in the RSA tower, the big tower downtown, and I figured about, I think 4 weeks ago, I probably didn't need to be around 3,000 other people, so I headed home. But I just have a mother I didn't want to infect. But for me, working from home is fine. I did it for many years. What I've been lucky enough to do is come over to this job site, work out a construction trailer, and see all the construction happening. So for me, it's been pretty good. It's been a good excuse for me not to be in the office and to be at the job site. So, a lot of these jobs where we're using computers to do most of our work, it hasn't changed for me as much. But I don't have good internet at home either, so it's good to be at the job site and use their internet.
Cool. Well, we certainly appreciate all of you coming online to do this panel with us today. So thank you for that. Related to this question is a question specifically for Wade from Adrian. If she's able to.
Do you want me to ask it?
Sure.
So you were just talking about, Wade, y'all were still open and doing everything. I saw some things on Facebook that y'all have been getting to do. So like clean up the beaches, like getting equipment out there and like digging down in the sand to get that plastic that you really wouldn't see on the surface. So I was just wondering, like, is there any other projects that y'all have gotten to accomplish while the beaches have been closed?
So that's probably one of the larger projects. That's a really tough one. In the wintertime, we used to get out there and we're able to do that, kind of deep clean or screening of the beach. And, here lately it's fallen to another department in Public Works over the last several years to do that. And they've run short on personnel. One thing led to another, and it didn't get done as often as it should have. And to be honest, our winter attendance has picked up to such great numbers that it's very difficult now to really have a season where you can go out there and the beach is clear and there's no obstructions and the chairs are removed and things of that nature. So this was one of the few opportunities with decent weather, no people, and we really got out there and were able to do kind of a deep cleaning. They're out there doing other projects as well. We're putting up and taking down signage and updating that, regulatory, posts and markers and things that we've got, and then all of our beach access points, they all require a good bit of routine maintenance, whether it's some type of, geofabric or whatever that we use to drive over and bring equipment in and out, replacing that, and boardwalks, doing walkovers. There's just been a lot of large projects that we don't typically have the time to squeeze in or can't because of the amount of people and some vehicular traffic associated with some of the access points.
Cool. I'm looking at, I see John and Cody both kind of have a similar question. Do one of you want to share your question? I know Cody's is a little bit more specific. Basically, they're both questions about after what to go to college for, essentially. Do one of you want to ask your questions, John or Cody?
Yeah. So basically,
if you want, you can both ask your questions. Like I said, Cody's is just a little bit more specific, but yeah, you can both ask your questions because they're similar and everybody can sort of answer them both at the same time because they're related.
Okay. So my question was, I'm looking at going and actually getting my master's in either biology or ecology, and I'm not sure which one I want to go towards more, so I was kind of asking like which one is more needed in your areas and kind of which one I should go towards.
Yeah, I think with master's degrees, you honestly just need to find the right person to work with. Having the best mentor or professor to do your master's degree with is 75% of the battle. So, you know, go out there and look at different schools, look at their master's programs, look at the professors, go interview them or email with them as much as they would email with you to find that right person that's gonna mentor you well, because that person will lead you on your career path with that master's degree. I just think I've seen some students just make the wrong decision because they like jellyfish and they just got with the wrong professor. So make sure you find that right person to mentor with, no matter whether it's ecology or biology. It will set a path for you. That's been my experience.
And as far as grad school, a little bit of advice, agree up front with your professor exactly what the expectations are and what is required for you to get that degree. Because I've seen flounder in grad school for years when they should have been in and out. And they'll work you really hard, but sometimes if you don't get a good professor, you'll be going down a lot of dead end roads. So, you know, look at their past history of students. Did they go to school, do what they needed to do and get the heck out of there? Or did they hang out for 8 years to get a 2-year or 3-year degree? And it's just, yeah, you need to find out that information. As far as ecology or biology, I mean, that's, well, I don't know if I know how to answer that. Personally, I like ecology because it's the big scale of what's going on. It's incredibly complex, as if biology alone is not complex enough. But, you know, I think that's the only question you can answer.
Yeah, I feel like ecology's, if you're strictly looking at it, it sounds like a lot of people like my interest in essentially either direction in their career or what's going to enable me to get a job the easiest. And I think ecology definitely, you know, in my opinion, is going to help you out the most in that regard. And I would just say, as far as school in general and, you know, master's or bachelor's or which school to pick and which program, I mean, don't let great get in the way of good. You know, get an education, get your bachelor's behind you, do it in something that's somewhat widely accepted and generic enough, if you will, that it allows you to kind of get your foot in the door, and then, like several people have said here, get some boots on the ground, get some experience, start making those contacts. I think doing that, you're making yourself more attractive to employers. You're opening up your exposure to different programs and career pathways out there that you might not already know. So give yourself some time to develop some of that and let it work out. And if it means you need to go back to school for a master's later because you found something that, hey, that's kind of the accepted practice or the level of education that the market is demanding, then so be it. You haven't wasted time, you gain that experience, and you've honed in on what it is you want to do. But if that doesn't work out, then you're out there and you're in the field and you're making those contacts. More than likely, that's going to lead to a job either way. So just don't delay. Get out there and get busy.
Cool. Well, we've got, we're going till 2:15, we said, Carrie?
Yeah, let's see. Cody, did you want to ask yours to Eric?
It indirectly answered my question as well, so thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of what I figured with those questions.
Yeah, we don't have to push it to 2:15. If anybody else has any
Yeah, I was just going to open things up and see if anybody else has a question that it can be a question that you wrote that we haven't gotten to if you really want to ask it, or if you've thought of something that you haven't wrote down, if anybody has anything that they want to ask while we have our 3 partners here.
Go ahead, Eric.
I see. Yep.
This one is for Wade. We're looking at the SSS, the sand, see the stars. What about that the boardwalk and how we got the plant set up? So we got giant debris piles and all of that. How and when are y'all gonna move all of those piles and start getting that better?
I don't know if you are working on the to remove that one section of the boardwalk.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, removing that section of the boardwalk, allowing us to get in there. Now it just comes down to what type of equipment we decide to bring in. We're trying to keep it obviously a very low impact and footprint in there, so using higher flotation track-based equipment and smaller equipment if possible. So we'll get in there and pull some of those piles out and remove them. I'm still optimistic that they're going to let us perform some fire management in there. It's not our property. It's a combination of ours and schools. So I say it's not ours, but it's a little bit of both. But because of the proximity to the school, they've always frowned heavily upon any type of fire management in there. So I've been pushing with schools being out and before we get into summer, that sort of thing, even though we've missed some of the more traditional seasons, for them to let us get in there and do some fire management. So we're hoping to do that. And if I can get them to approve me going in and burning some of those just in pile form, that would be a start and kind of open the door to what I hope is eventually more proactive, true fire management.
Cool. I see Amber asked a question and she's having some audio issues, so I'll go ahead and ask it. What about the online master's degrees and things like environmental management or GIS? Would you suggest doing something like that? And I see Meg already started to answer in the chat box. If you have anything that you want to add on camera or for any of the other partners.
I was just going to say GIS is a great skill to have, no matter what degree you're going with. I don't know about the online programs. Maybe so. When I do have one friend that's doing it now, and she works in Baldwin County. So I mean, I think Wade and Eric might have some more input. I just don't know a lot about the online programs. But GIS in general is a great skill to have and to be able to put on your resume.
Yeah, I think the online programs, they carry a stigma with them that's been there for quite some time, from back in the early days of the diploma mills, things of that nature. I think if nothing else, this event that we're in right now with this pandemic is going to be, something that helps turn the tide on some of that. And you'll always have people that are traditionalists as far as brick and mortar institutions, and they want you to have gone to a school, and in some cases on a science-based career, you just absolutely have to do that. I mean, there's some science programs that you're just not going to get around, being there on the university and doing the labs and doing but there still are plenty of opportunities, especially getting down to some of the broader ecology and things of that nature, natural resources management. There's plenty of programs out there. I would just say be very, very careful and be very aware of the technical and legal aspects of a nationally accredited degree versus a regionally accredited degree, because what you think might be one thing is actually another. So understanding that and understanding the market research associated with you're interested in, and they get into requiring something that can only be offered at a brick and mortar university. But I find that hard to believe, because most online programs you can find a regionally accredited, which sounds counterintuitive, but that's actually better than nationally accredited. But a regionally accredited online degree program, and you can even find master's programs that are still thesis based with field research, etc., online now, and not be there at the university. So people are working with you in a lot of ways, and technology is allowing that to happen. So I wouldn't let it steer you away. And I strongly recommend, coming from a background of a working professional that had to finish and is still going through an educational process now. It's definitely well worth it to pursue some of the online possibilities that are out there, in my opinion.
Awesome. That's very good feedback. I think that will about wrap things up. I do have one more question I want to ask. We made a list of backup questions just in case we had some extra time. And looking at that, they've pretty much all been answered in a roundabout way except for one. So I'll go ahead and ask that. Any favorite conservation or science-based books or articles? A lot of our members are readers. Me personally, I am not, but a lot of our members are readers and would, I know, really appreciate suggestions.
Yeah, documentaries or films are good too.
I hate to admit that. Oh, go ahead, Meg.
No, I was just going to say, I recently finished, and it took me a while to get through it, but it's called Gulls, The Making of an American Sea. And I think you'll know a lot of these spots when you read about it, and it's a little bit depressing. I had to put it down in a few chapters, and they talked about the decimation of bird populations. But it's a really good book to dig through some of the history, and it's a professor out of the University of Florida, historian and naturalist who wrote it. He won a Pulitzer Prize for it. So it's a great book to explore what this region would have looked like before humans did what we did to this area. So I'll write it in here, I think, in the chat box.
Yeah, if each of you, if you have suggestions, if you could put them in the chat box, just because some people are having some trouble with their Wi-Fi, but I think that'd make it easier too for people to write it down or screenshot it or whatever. If you can put your suggestions in the chat box, that would be awesome.
Like Eric, I'm not much of a reader, so if I spend any time reading, it's stuff that's fairly brief and more technical in nature. So a lot of professional, journals and things of that, like wildlife trends and things of that nature. So, or I'm reading some big, large technical manual, field manual about something. So I'm more of a boots on the ground kind of guy. All my other books that I read that wouldn't necessarily be appropriate here, they're either leadership related or administration related, things of that nature, just from my background in the fire service and whatnot.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you there. Well, Carrie, if you want, man, my voice is shot today. Carrie, if you want to wrap things up with the partners, thank you all very much for being here and being part of our panel. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll go ahead and log off a little early. If everybody else can stay on, we'll kind of debrief on all this, but kind of say goodbye to our partners and say thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll be sending them the recording of this so you guys have that, and we're going to share it with our Gulf Corps, the larger Gulf Corps program, so they can know about all the great work in Alabama too. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank
next
y'all.
time.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's see.
Think that's, yeah. So I was just gonna say, since we had slotted this extra time, so one thing is for Wade, he wanted to, I think Meg's just frozen, but he wanted us to kind of present to his interns as like a kind of give and take for him presenting. It looks like what he was talking about. Do you guys, I think it was just like Eric and Ashley. I don't know if anybody else is, well, Deanna, you're still here, and Britt. The wildlife rehab stuff we went to last year. If you think, I don't know, do you guys think that would be interesting to have them talk to us about something? Eric,
Yeah, that'd be
Ashley,
really
you still there?
pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you feel like, oh, Adrian's saying please. Okay. Well, I'll talk to him about, go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. Even just going that one day, because the other ones for the people who went, you had to pay for it or whatever. But just the one day was very interesting to me, and that's not something I thought I would be interested in. But for other members, like Adrian was already saying yes, I think it would be good.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to him and see. Maybe he can give me like a list of different. I know we did like some people did the like sea turtle shell rehab or the bird rehab, and so we'll see what they can offer for our kind of time span. Maybe we can do like a series of different rehab for different species. It'd be cool. Give us a little bit of a break for our leaders having to find content. Yeah, so the other thing, Wade, I was talking about with the give or take, is he wants us to present to his interns. So leaders, I think we've talked about this with Larissa, but going back to I think the career day presentations, trying to see how you guys feel. Thought we'd have like a group discussion about it. If we think we could somehow record those online, since you guys already created them, and just voice over them, what do you guys think? Or how do you want to go about this so we can get Wade that information too, since he took the time out for us?
I mean, we could even do a live chat thing like this and just have it on one person's screen and have each person, have it on your screen or something, Carrie, and then like we can all just talk about.
I would not rather do it live. I would rather not do it live. Like, I think, Carrie, that suggestion was pretty good. I would rather record it before, because I do not perform very well on webcam.
Austin's shaking his head.
Yeah, she's gonna choke.
Well, I think we're
Yeah,
still
I agree with
webcam, right?
voiceover just because we all can't, like, with all the technical difficulties, I feel like if we did the voiceover, there's less of having an issue than trying to do it all live.
Are we all still doing it online, or are we doing it in a different way? Do you have a different way to do it, Carrie?
Well, no, you would just, your webcam wouldn't be shown. The way, like when I record the video we just had, it only picks up when I share the screen. So if we just had the presentation playing, it would just hear your voices. So basically you would just be presenting for the rest of the group. So we could do some practice run-throughs. I know leaders, you're creating the schedule for next week. So if we want to pick a day to do this, or we could do one per day, just kind of thinking, okay, that wouldn't be bad then. That's okay. I'll just, some more professional development too for us. It's a different version of making a presentation, but especially with all the COVID stuff right now, this is kind of how things are. So it's good to know how to record and upload a presentation and all that. So yeah.
I mean, we might all be doing this for work if the COVID continues.
Yeah. Okay. And good for our resumes. Yes. Amber, there you go. It's like every time we have a presenter, they're like resumes, and I saw Eric being like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna shoot the camera." But yep, we're gonna shove that down your throats until you're like dreaming about editing your resume. Anyways, yeah. So leaders, I guess you can add that to the schedule. I don't know if we need to do like a thumbs up if people agree to that, or you can put in the chat box if we're all okay doing that. Remember the career day presentations, that way we don't have to work again to create something else. You could even update them if we want to add a little bit of time for that too, because we know we've done more project work since we've had that, you know, done the career day presentations. I think that was in February, so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if we set aside the time, could we do like a separate Go Meet Me chat or whatever this is called? Go-to meeting, whatever it's called. Could we do like a separate go-to meeting for each, like for each leader to lead with their presenter group like we did before? I know we could go to Zoom and do breakout groups, but that doesn't work for.
Yeah, so I can't have more than one go-to meeting open at a time, but if we like aren't using this room, we could have other ones open. I think it might be easier just to have this one and then have like groups log on at a specified time.
Hey.
Sorry, my dog just got upset about something. Yeah, so I guess we can talk about that with Larissa while you guys are thinking through the schedule for next week. Just while you guys are, so don't get too far ahead, we can try to maybe in the afternoon, since we're using that as like a interactive time, or whenever you guys feel like it's best. But anything else? Did everybody enjoy the panel? It was more like talking, but it was nice to see the partners and that they're still doing stuff. It was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how different all of their backgrounds were. It was even, I knew that they'd have completely different backgrounds, but it was even more different, I guess, than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't like that not all of us knew who Meg was, because I felt like she kind of got the short end of questions.
I don't know if maybe she felt that way. We're giving her, it's okay, because we're making her like a lot of project work and saving her a lot of time. So I can show you guys before we quit the finished map if you want. Let's see. She was like, it's great.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually met Meg before.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Can you see that? Or does it just show my files? I think it just shows the files.
No, it's showing the map.
It's a lot of invasives.
It's a rainbow.
Yeah, look how pretty and tiny that is. And then I also did there was some other stuff I gave her too, but out of like all of the property, what was it, like 80 acres, and then it was like 50 is actually uplands. There was like I think I calculated like at least 20% has invasives on it, so it's pretty intense. And Meg just told me today that we're going to be the ones to go treat it. So cool. We'll eventually do that too. They're going to get us the money to do that next year. More work. What'd you say, Matt?
Are we using napalm? What are we treating it with? Napalm? It's a lot of invasives out there.
Yep, we're going to do it by hand.
Agent Orange.
Did you say napalm?
I think that's what we need.
Oh, wow. You're very murderous.
Don't worry.
You gotta see how many invasives are out there.
It's not going to be till next year. You probably, if you don't stick around, you'll be okay. But if anybody really wants to go back to that property, you should stick around for next year. I'll be your boss because Larissa's gonna have a baby. Anyways, moving forward. Yeah, if you guys are ready to move on, you can do that, and then
Cool.
I think it's
So
just
it's yeah, pretty chill from here till 3:30. You're just gonna do the iNaturalist activity. So take a picture of 5 things. When you come back this afternoon, be prepared to share your finding with the group and talk about the day. Just be prepared for that. We also have a video to show you guys during the debrief. So a video that some of you are in. So that's all I'll say about that. So
Exciting!
lots to look forward to. Yeah, be back on at 3:30.
Quick question about the iNaturalist activity. So if we share our findings, do you still want us to email you one of our findings?
Yes.
Okay.
Email us one screenshot. That way we have something